and teaching methodology. Associations, festivals, and competitions provide opportunities for students to nurture their extracurricular skill and talents while also motivating them to be the best among their peers. With an alumni base of over 1.69 lakhs from all over the world, SRM provides its students with a platform to interact, bond, and expand their social networks while incorporating and accepting multilingual and multicultural diversity. At SRM ISU, which strive for excellence in all areas of engineering, the science, the arts, the humanities, and the commerce. From launching their very own student-built satellite, SRM SAT, a joint venture between the SRM and Indian Space Research Organization, to producing numerous CEOs of MNCs, and SRM has achieved amazing heights. The institution has often been highly ranked as a private multidisciplinary institute in India by well-known trusted media outlets such as India Today, Deccan Chronicle, and DNA. SRM prides itself on offering a comprehensive rationale of undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD programs to students across the world. The rationale of the global meet is to facilitate networking between students and the experienced alumni from diverse backgrounds of this prestigious institution, and to help our students inspire to one day to achieve even greater heights in their respective fields. Before starting this event, we're extremely grateful to have illustrious Registrar Dr. S. Purnuswamy for being the catalyst that encourages us to do our best, and Dr. A. Rathanam, the Directorate of Alumni Affairs, and all the directors, deans, the faculty members, alumni, and students for supporting us and joining this event. The DAA's main aim is to strive to create and facilitate alumni-student interactions and help their fellow students be guided towards their respective goals. The insights that students receive help us walk the paths easier by helping us understand what is right and what is wrong in our professional careers. The activities of the DAA have helped students with guidance in placements, higher studies, mentorship, reunion of alumni, and even panel discussions for faculties. The strength of the team is each individual member, and the strength of member is the team. And our honorable director, sir, makes us realize this goal by being the strength of the team and also with guiding us in all aspects. He has risen to the challenge of directing so many of us in the right direction. Sir has initiated numerous initiatives in the directorate across various departments and domains. We have been able to conduct various reunions, conclaves covering all the topics, including placement operations, higher studies, and soft skills. Not only that, he has many more accomplishments to his name. With this, I would like to invite the Director of Alumni Affairs, Dr. A. Rathinam, sir. So the floor is all yours.
Thank you. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. Today is a very special day for all of us, one that we will cherish for years to come. I hope that each one of you is staying safe and healthy during these challenging times. Look for the opportunities and welcome the challenges in every situation to learn and grow in wisdom. With these words of Brian Tracy, I welcome you all for the first day of the second edition of SRM Global Meet, a flagship event of Directorate of Alumni Affairs. SRM Institute of Science and Technology aims to provide opportunities for everyone to benefit from our own alumni, while also giving them an opportunity to reminisce about their college days. I extend a heartfelt thanks to our beloved registrar, sir, Dr. S. Purnuswamy, sir, for gracing us today with his presence and delivering his presidential address. The Directorate of Alumni Affairs serves as the bridge between alumni and students with an aim to create a mutually beneficial relationship between them. Alumni networks are another valuable resource for people of all ages and walks of life. These types of events have proven to be extremely beneficial in recent years and have had a significant impact on the lives of the students. DAA aims to assist students, alumni in the best possible ways through conclaves for placement preparation, higher education, mentorship programs, internship opportunities, alumni reunions, alumni meets, and even faculty panel discussions from the esteemed senior alumni. We're all extremely thankful and happy to have our alumni who have always been there to assist our students in their alma mater and to help them to achieve greater heights in the days to come. In the last 6 to 7 months, we have been conducting so many alumni conclaves and events, which ranges from 65 plus events which has the major flagship events such as the one which is happening today, and SRM Achievers Connect, and the mentorship program initiated with the help of alumni and many departmental faculty members joining together to mentor the slow learners to become the better. Also, very specific placement preparation sessions, which includes mock interviews with the Directorate of Career Center and various departments of engineering technology, which includes ECE department, CSE department, EEE department, mechanical engineering, and so on. And with respect to the varieties of events, we have been encompassing all the departments of engineering technology, and also have extended towards the College of Pharmacy, where we had the pleasant reunion of the first batch of pharmacy students. Some of their alumni are also joining in this program. Also, the Memoria, the virtual reunion, which is being done by E&I department. And we have so many other events which have been conducted and utilizing the blended mode of education. And recently we have started doing the offline events also, along with the College of Physiotherapy and Occupational Therapy and so on. So these sessions and events were very interactive with lots of information sharing, games, and other department activities videos which are being shared. It is said that the beauty and success of any event lies in its defined goals. Our goal for this global meet is to make sure that students benefit from our senior alumni and all alumni working overseas and in India. Life gives us countless opportunities to learn and grow. This event is yet another such opportunity for us to keep learning and grasp every ounce of knowledge provided to us. With this, I would like to welcome each and every one of you who have taken time on this Saturday to join in this occasion and make this as memorable, which includes our esteemed alumni, faculty members, head of the departments, students, alumni, deans, directors, heads of departments, and so on. And also, I would like to introduce and welcome our speakers of the day, Ms. Nisha Mary Pauls, architecture and founder, Ms. Divya Ram, project manager, GE Renewable Energy UK, Ms. Darmilola Banavo, director founder, KTC Education Consultancy USA, Mr. Himanshu Ponde, consultancy at Capacity Building Commission as a consultant, Mr. Abhijit as an astronomy enthusiastic and design engineer for the today. We are honored to have such brilliant minds amidst us who have excelled so much in their fields of interest. Their enthusiasm for the subject and commitment to their work have propelled them to the top of their respective fields. The Directorate of Alumni Affairs is happy to host such webinars and conclaves that help students to learn and prepare for their future endeavors like them. A small interaction with such alumni can clear and change the perception for our students, which will give the benefits in long way. Making the most of it and coming out with the vision is the mission for all the student friends who have joined here. I hope you will all enjoy this session. With this, I would like to welcome each and every one of you who have joined here for sharing their valuable time and taking the insights. I kindly request everyone to take the advantage of the opportunity, and I thankful for our Registrar Sir and Vice Chancellor Sir for gracing these occasions and helping us to fly in colors and bring laurels to our university. Thank you, sir. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you for your warm words and warm and guiding words, sir. You have never failed to inspire us to be the best version of ourselves. For the presidential address, I'd like to invite Dr. S. Purnaswamy, Registrar, SRM IST. So the stage is all yours.
Thank you, my dear alumni who are all present here. Professor Ratnam, Director, Directorate of Alumni Affairs. My dear colleagues, students, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to one and all present here. I welcome all the alumni and everyone to this Global Meet 2021 hosted by the Directorate of Alumni Affairs. Many of our SRM alumni are currently working in international companies or alumni who are creating their own companies in foreign countries. We welcome these talented minds here to guide the students who are currently on the same pathway. I believe that after hearing their journey, every student present here will be inspired to do more in their life. They will have the hunger to achieve more and dream something new. College days are the most important time of our life, and we at SRM make sure that when you graduate from the college, you will have an experience that will help you to succeed in life. With world-class infrastructure, laboratories, we provide the best learning environment. We have a placement record of 98%, and we make sure that every deserving student is placed. We also help our students to start their own startups. We have world-class resources so that our students are not left when it comes to the quality of education. Since its inception in the year 1985, SRM Institute of Science and Technology has proved its merit to stand along with India's premier educational institutes. With accreditations from the national agencies, it also takes pride in having received an A++ grade from NAC and Category 1 Institute, bestowing knowledge to over 60,000 plus students who are not only from India but all over the world. SRM provides education for undergraduate, postgraduate, and doctorates with collaborations with well-known institutes such as MIT, Carnegie Mellon, UC Davis, and Warwick. Channelizing every student's experience, be it from social or economic backgrounds or discrete parts of the world, SRM intends to transform it into an opportunity that will take them places in their career and help them build a stable future. True to its motto of learn, lead, SRM Institute of Science and Technology has recently achieved a 5-star rating from QS for online teaching, learning. We have also achieved prestigious accreditations from NBA for 5 of our undergraduate programs. Our crowning achievement is being ranked 30th on the list of Indian institutes by the NIRF, National Institutional Ranking Framework. SRM IST was recently presented the first prize in AICT National Level Clean and Smart Campus Award 2021, which is a campus first step towards sustainability under the university deemed to be university category by the Union Minister of Education, Sri Dharmendra Pradhan. This institution is regularly ranked among the top global institutions by Time Higher Education UK. It is a true pleasure for me to welcome all dignitaries, students, and faculties present here at this ceremony. SRM has a very big alumni base of 1.69 lakhs across different campuses, and our alumni have not left any field untouched, be it technical advancement, science, sports, fashion, or startups. We have been in the top list of the colleges because of the hard work and the dedication of the management and the student, faculties, and obviously alumni who represent and embark the name of SRM in different fields they explore. The SRM IST Alumni Association has been conceived in the year 1996 in SRM as the only alumni office for the entirety of SRM. Through the years, it evolved into what we have today in the form of Directorate of Alumni Affairs, striving for their mission to promote the student alumni interactions. The Directorate has been active in bringing numerous alumni who help the current students under the management in various forms. Over the years, we have united all the campuses of SRM group of institutions to help students with scholarships, mentoring, job offers, placement guidance, hands-on workshops, and counseling. As we are coming over this pandemic situation, SRMIST has been one of the colleges which have taken a bold step of starting the offline classes for students, following the COVID protocols, highlighting the fact that we are good in blended mode of learning and being very focused and systematic in academics. We have gradually started to give the students the same experience and exposure they received in pre-COVID times by promoting student-run teams and activities throughout the college. SRM Global Meet was started last year with the motto to provide a platform to distinguished alumni, allowing them to reach out and interact with alumni from all over the world. This not only allows the alumni body to increase its outreach, but also makes our alumni network stronger. The event acts as an amazing opportunity to bring together some of our university's most successful and brightest. To the students present here, I would say that SRM Global Meet 21 is a one-of-a-kind event that will ignite your desire to achieve your goals by bringing together learners and leaders. I congratulate the entire DAA students team, alumni coordinators, and Professor A. Ratnam, Director, for having taken such unique initiatives and making it into wonderful realities, impacting the student lives, in turn to the society. Once again, I am honored to invite the speakers to the DAA Global Meet. We believe that your innovative ideas and dynamic approach will benefit the young minds who will be listening to us. The diverse panel of alumni present here itself shows the diversity that SRM has. And my message to all the students is to learn from these speakers and catch their good point. I can't be grateful enough to the alumni present here who even after years have the same respect for their alma mater and have returned to help the students in just one call and are here to share their experiences and views on their topics. Once again, I welcome you all and especially all the alumni who have joined us today. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. MCs are muted.
Thank you. Thank you for your words, sir. We too are very proud of this institution. Speaking about the institution, it is said that people and things age by stories and not by years. And what better way to tell a story than with a video? Ever wondered how this institution came into being? To give you a glimpse of the very foundations of this institution, we, the DAA team, present to you a short film with the first toast to the epitome of this prestigious institution. Now we'll be playing a video made by the Directorate of Alumni Affairs team.
In 1969, our respected Chancellor Sir laid the foundations of SRM with the inception of Florence Nightingale School. In 1981, it was upgraded to the matriculation status. In 1984, it was the launch of the Wali Amai Polytechnic Institute, and finally, in the year 1985, SRM Engineering College was born. Since then, till the turn of the century, many institutes across various disciplines have been opened and are thriving. In 2002, SRMIST was declared a deemed university.
Was indeed a thrilling and extraordinary journey. And kudos to the DA production team for having produced such an amazing video. So, without further ado, let us begin the event by calling upon our first speaker of today, Ms. Divya Rao, to enlighten us with her extraordinary journey. Ms. Divya, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. you may proceed.
Okay. First of all, a huge thanks for having me. The video was amazing. It brings back all the memories of the 4 years, although it's been long. I was in the batch 2011 to 2015. It was truly nostalgic. So thank you so much for having me. Whatever I am today, a part of it is because of SRM, because I really feel that after SRM, I discovered myself. I discovered the hidden talents. I understood the new possibilities which life can offer. So whenever there is an event associated with SRM, I'm always in and more than happy to pass on my learnings, my guidance to the students there. So even after the session, students are more than welcome to reach out to me over social media, and I'm happy to guide you in any of your queries. So a huge thanks to all of you for having me. To give a background, I graduated from SRM University in 2015 from biotechnology genetics. And then I worked in GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceuticals. I initially started off technically, I was not more of a research person. And I worked in the pharma sector. Then I slowly understood I'm more of a leadership person. Again, leadership is one of the attributes that I discovered in SRM. I organized a lot of fests there. I was a captain of Prithvi House, a very active member of Student Activity Center. So I led a team of around 300 people in the house and managed all the cultural, sports, literary activities, and even led the team for inter-college dance competitions, fashion competitions. So that kind of leadership, I think, is one of the attributes I really embraced upon in SRM. So I realized it while working in GSK that I should move on to management field. Then I took up project management there and started learning about it. Then I got this golden opportunity with scholarship to do my MBA from Nottingham Business School in the UK. I applied for many and I got this opportunity with scholarship, which I took upon. I went there, finished my MBA. And since then, I'm working as a project manager with GE Renewable Energy. So this is like the professional part of it. I'll come to my personal and the hobby side of it later. To give a background on what's renewable energy, because it is the talk of the town, and in Europe, there are a lot of government regulations that are coming to go green in the next 10, 15 years. So yes, it is the future and it has a lot of jobs in store for you because it's a niche field and a lot of research and development is still to be done. So at GE Renewable Energy, we generate energy through natural resources. I manage most of the projects that are generated through wind. Why? Because Europe's geographical location is such that the wind speed is very high there. So we generate electricity through wind, and our aim is to light all the homes there or the cars through natural resources, wind for me in particular. When it comes to Asia, it's more of sun. So to give a background, renewable energy is when we use natural resources to generate energy. Traditionally, we have used resources like coal, petroleum, the ones which can get depleted. So definitely not sustainable in nature. Wind and sun together, that is solar, comprises of around 75% of world's energy production. And wind and hydro. Solar is slowly picking up. And there are other fields like nuclear, biomass. So technically, if you ask me, if you want to get into renewable energy, a background in electrical, electronics, electrical and instrumentation or nuclear is very good. But because this field is so niche and you need a lot of technical competency to excel in this, only BTech wouldn't help. You would need a master's and sometimes a PhD also. So at GE, I work with people across the globe, but they are highly educated, like they have PhD and masters from very top universities in these domains. So if you want to go technical in this line, these are the streams in which you should pursue for higher education, because bachelor's alone is not sufficient. Other than this, software also, because coding is the life you're breathing it in and out. Every field has coding or software application in it. So this field doesn't require PhD because that's not the technical side of it. That is a look and feel of it. So for that, you would need a master's from very good university again to land up in a job in a top MNC in software field. So if you're on any of these fields and you feel that you want to be part of a career which adds to the sustainable future, please pursue your master's in the respective fields. Coming to my personal front, so I always had this hobby for modeling. And again, it's something I realized when I came to SRM. Before this, I never knew that the word existed. So I remember Shuru, which is the freshers event. We all were asked to audition for dance, fashion, and I auditioned there. And I used to be very fat then, so I did not clear it. And that day, I don't know, something hit me very hard. And I was like, I really love this and I want to do this. So I was very disappointed that day. And I wanted, like, that is the year 2011. And I wanted to be in the ramp and walk the ramp. So I prepared for the next auditions. The next cultural fest that happens is Jhalak. And I lost weight and I trained how to walk the ramp. I was pretty much untrained when I went for the Shuru auditions. Luckily, I cleared it, and that was a very happy moment for me. That was the first ever time I walked runway, which was Jhalak in 2011. And it's 2021 now. I walked London Fashion Week a few months ago. So from 2011 to 2021 was a roller coaster ride, because for me, modeling is my passion. I never wanted to pursue it professionally, as in full time. Professionally, but not full time, because I had different career goals. And again, coming to this, a lot of people ask me, how do I keep both the fields alive? Because I am a working profession and I'm keeping my passion alive. How do I do this? So looking back, when I was in SRM, I used to organize all fairs, be part of dance team, fashion team, go to inter-college fairs, inter-college competitions. That time, I did not have a choice that I either give my semester exams, study, or dance. I had to do both. So time management, discipline, or multitasking is again one of the aspects that I learned in SRM and embraced it. And if I could do it there, I thought, why cannot I do it in my life? So while I was working in GSK in Delhi, so after I graduated, there was no modeling. Modeling was over, because that was only part of me in the 4 years of SRM. We did a lot of inter-college runway competitions and within the college also, and photo shoots. SRM has this beautiful creative people in the library building. There used to be people from arts, photography club, video making club, who needed models to pose for their projects. And then the videography team needed models for shots. So I got exposure to that and I got trained slowly. So that 4 years was like skill set building for me. So after I graduated, I started working in GSK, and I never really realized at the first place that modeling could actually be taken professionally and I can get a life out of it. So I auditioned for a beauty pageant in the year 2016, which was Miss Capital of India. And all the skill set that I learned in SRM, be it runway, be it posing in front of a camera, really helped me because I had a knowledge of it. Then I groomed myself for 6 months, joined gym, changed my lifestyle completely, and auditioned for it. And I luckily won it. And that was the entrance to the world of professional modeling for me. Now, having said this, I never left my job. So whatever time I devoted to my modeling career or preparation for it was after my office, that is maybe after 6 or 7, or the weekends. And I do it till today. Like I had to go to UK because I always wanted to pursue my master's abroad. And it was like starting from the scratch for me, because in an international country, the competition is of different kind. And again, I devoted my time after office to in casting and in going for auditions and in training myself. And till today, I do that. Other than my work, whatever time is left, I try and devote it to my hobbies to keep a part of me alive, because I love doing it. So that's a short journey of mine from SRM to building my professional and personal career, to keeping my hobbies a part of me as well. And having said that, a lot of my batchmates have kept their passion alive. Like some of my friends who graduated with me from SRM are dance choreographers. So they do it part-time. They take out time after their full-time mainstream career and do it. They're dance choreographers, they are gym trainers, they are wedding photographers. Some people are also opened up their makeup studios and they're part-time makeup artists and hairstylists. So the message I want to provide here is what people generally do. There are two extremes of it. Either after, because we are all into culturals, or say the literary side of it, or the sports side of it. So once the college is over, we feel okay, we can never do it because all the arena or the opportunities to pursue it is closed. So that's one extreme. Or the second extreme is who leave their career and go into it full time. And at the end of it, because the competition is so high, at the end of it, after maybe say 7-8 years, they realize that they've wasted a precious time of your life, because after you graduate is the time to build yourself technically and compete yourself to gain that experience so that you're ready for the bigger jump in the next 4-5 years. So you don't have to be in either of these two extremes, that completely forget it or forego your career and completely get into passion. Yes, if at any stage of your life you feel that you are good enough to devote your full life into it, please go ahead. But for me, I believe knowledge is power. It brings you reverence, it brings you respect, it gives you security. No one can take knowledge from you. Anything and everything can leave you, but knowledge can never leave you. And so I can always say that I'm an engineer from SRM University, or I have an MBA from top business school. So this thing will never leave me. This gives me the security that I can sustain. So even though COVID happened, many of us lost their jobs. If you have these qualifications, it will give you that security that, yes, you will have a secure job in your life. But if you're good enough, you should definitely keep your hobbies open, keep on pursuing them. And if there's ever a moment you feel that gives you enough security and enough assurance to pursue it full time, please go for it. Any questions, Team DA? Which audience wants to ask in either of the field, arts, time management, discipline, or renewable energy?
There is one question in Q&A. It is visible there. May you get. One is asking for the contact, which we'll share it with. The second question.
That's yeah, Haliade X is wind turbine. That's true. It's one of the world's biggest wind turbine. So the project I manage is Sophia. It's world's largest offshore wind energy project. And yes, we do use Haliade wind turbines. Regarding genetics, I'm not in genetics at the moment because I decided to go on with leadership and management roles. But whatever knowledge I'm happy to share, or share the number of relevant alumni to you, because I'm in touch with other genetics people. So queries on if you want to pursue a career in genetics, if you're really interested in R&D, I'm happy to answer that. Or if you are in genetics now and want to understand what are the management aspects of biofield, because this is something which I struggle, because I always wanted to be in a management role. And that's why I joined GSK and understand the commercial side of it. So my degree, engineering degree in biotechnology, helped me in GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceuticals, because I had the whole bio background. What do drugs do? How do diseases, what is the relationship between drugs and diseases? What is, patents? What are the clinical trials like? I could understand it very easily. So if you want to get into the commercial side or the management side of biotechnology and not the research side of it, there are a lot of opportunities. So on that note, also you can reach out to me. Renewables is a new domain I am in, because project management is an intertransferable skill. You can put it into any domain. So that's the domain I am in. If you have doubts on how to get into renewable energy or project management leadership or MBA abroad, I'm always reachable for all these queries. Any other questions? I do see. Wow. I did my MBA from Nottingham Business School. It is one of the top ranked universities in the UK. If you're looking for, there is this MBA mentorship group for SRM, in which I'm already guiding a lot of people, SRM students who want to MBA abroad. So specifically for UK and Ireland, because it's a bit different from Canada and US, it's a 1-year course. So I'll tell you the go-to colleges which are comparatively cheaper than London and Oxford, and the ones which offer scholarship, because I went on scholarship. So that kind of guidance can also be provided. You can reach out to me for that also. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can add me there. And if there is a series of questions, I'm happy to get it through DA also. Or if you are interested in pursuing a master's abroad, there is a specific group. I can add you to that also.
There is one question. How to get into renewable energies with computer science background, and what are the qualifications which are required?
Okay, I think I answered it in brief. So I'm a controls project manager. So controls is divided into two things. One is the software side of it. So software decides how the product looks. So coding is, you can say, the backbone of it. And then there is the system side of it. So for systems, to understand the systems, to design the system, how much electricity is generated, what would be, the design of the configuration, like you need degree in electronics, electricals, or maybe nuclear. So in systems, they tell you, this is a prototype, this is what we want. Now, how to make it work? For that, you need software. So for that, you need coding. So systems people are expected to be way more qualified, because that's very technical and very complex. So for that, you need masters or PhD in electronics, electricals. For this, to code, I think you need to know basic software applications depending on the company. So mine uses MATLAB, some use SQL, some use Java or Python. So you need bachelor's and then master's, preferably from good universities with good grades. And one more thing, specifically for if you are looking to go abroad, they value work experience. So try and get internships in good place, because as long as you're only studying, it's theoretical knowledge for them. So they'll always treat you as a junior. Your chances to get a good job is increased when you have good internship as part of your CV, because that counts as work experience. You can find me on Divya Ram. I don't think it's very difficult. Master's group. So if you add me on LinkedIn, I will add you to the MBA group. So I did not, Lucky Jaiswal, I did not get into modeling from SRM. I did modeling for 4 years in SRM. That's when I realized that I like modeling. To pursue it professionally, I participated in a beauty pageant after SRM. That's the year 2017. So for 1 year, I took break, and that year was like, I continuously thoroughly felt that there's something is missing, and this something which used to keep me alive when I was in SRM, which used to be dance and fashion. And that kept haunting me for a long while. And then I finally decided, let's prepare and let's get into this. So then I started from scratch in Delhi and did a lot of runways in India. Then now I'm doing it in UK.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for answering all the questions and sharing this amazing journey with all of us. Well, Ms. Divya Ram is one of our most decorated, recognized, and she described herself as proactive, energetic project managers who places a strong emphasis on quality and on-time delivery. She earned her bachelor's degree in genetics from SRM University, and then she went on to Nottingham Business School for MBA in logistics and supply chain management. She has volunteered in SOS Children, Williams, and participated in a variety of social and cultural events. She's indeed a really, really decorated individual. Okay, Sandra, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your willingness to share with us the secrets of your success, ma'am. I'm sure they will one day be of great use to our students. Now, for our exciting speaker of the day, we have Mr. Abhijit Gurgaonkar. an avid astronomist enthusiast. He's also passionate about astronomical instrumentation, statistics, and general mathematics. He has his master's in information technology and pursuing career in academia with focus on control systems, image processing, astronomy, and number theory with such topics. He's also invested in his hobbies, which include chess and the Rubik's Cube. He is experienced cuber and had been a part of World Cube Association for more than 3 years, and is also a former Asian record holder for 5 fold. We are thrilled to have you here with us today, so the stage is all yours.
Hi all, am I audible?
Yes, Abhijit. Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Welcome.
so I'll have a quick presentation.
Yes.
Uh,
Screen
yeah.
is getting visible. Yes.
Yes. So hi all. First of all, I would like to thank DAA for letting me getting in contact with me and allowing me to speak up about a bit because I really am thankful to SRM. So I did my my BTech in SRM from 2013 to 2017. And the organizer of DA, Ratnam sir, also was my BTech guide, and also during all the Arush Fest, he was there and he has played a pivotal role. So I would like to thank SRM and all those 250 students, BTech students present here for giving their time. So a bit about me, I did my BTech in electrical electronics, then I did my master's in remote sensing, image processing, and then I worked in a job where I learned about FPGA programming. And finally, right now, I am right now in a research group in IIT Bombay where I work on astronomical instrumentation. So all this is a lot of jargon. So that's why the organizers here at DA and me, we chose a very simple topic. So I'll be just covering a very simple topic today. And I think so you guys, if you have opened the news or you have searched enough on YouTube, this topic must have come across you, which is about space debris. So I'll just quickly go over it. This is not the topic that I work on. My work is mostly on high energy physics and on astronomical instrumentation, but this is an interesting topic and it can be a problem in the future. So I'll just quickly share a bit about it. So yeah, there is a lot of numbers on the left and there is a pretty picture, artistic picture on the right. The problem of space debris currently isn't there, but it can be there in the future. And it affects a lot of things. So currently you use the mobile phones, it works on communications. So there is a chance that your communication satellites might in the future get too many. So there is a project called a Starlink, which is going to be launched in the next decade or so, which will have just too many communication satellites. And that can be an issue because these satellites go at really high speeds and in low Earth orbit or in a nearby orbit. And there is a chance that few of these satellites can collide, and then there can be a lot of junk, non-operating electronics in a low Earth orbit. That's a big problem. Yeah. So if you see on the table on the right, a lot of the satellites are going to be launched from the US, but it's not only the US, it's also China, India also with a few payloads that they will be sending. So in total, within 2030, there might be around 110 objects, 100,000 objects in our orbit. So that is quite a lot, and it affects two things. One is it affects communication, as I said, and the second is what is really near and dear to me is it affects ground-based observation. So as my description says, I'm an astronomy enthusiast. I do not do that much astronomy myself. I process images and just view data sets. But when the task comes of ground-based astronomy, so like I just come to my next slide, which is about the top right. If you can see, this is one of the astronomy observatory in Ladakh area in India. So this is called the Growth Project, which is CCD camera, and it tries to image a lot of objects in the sky. And there is an issue if we have a lot of let's say communication satellites. If we do long time exposure, we do get kind of a, not a blur, but a kind of a strike in our data sets, and this strike affects if you want to see very, very small angular resolution objects. So very, very small objects which have like really a small patch of the sky, it does affect. So that's why space debris is a problem. What you guys can do is try and get into science and try and find solutions for it. I'm not asking you to like go and protest or something, but yeah, this is a solution and I just thought of addressing it. So on my left is one of my mentors currently. He's one of the best astrophysicists in India, Dr. Varun Bhalerao, and he is currently situated in IIT Bombay. He is one of the like the best in transient astronomy, high energy astronomy, and also 5 years back when gravitational waves were detected for the first time, he played a really instrumental role. Also, there is a 6-year-old payload that is still in orbit, which was launched by ISRO, which is called AstroSat, and he worked on the hardware part of the AstroSat as well. So at the bottom is the group. This is a group before the pandemic, so you won't be seeing me there. But generally, I am in the campus, but a lot of people aren't in the campus, so we do not have a proper group photo right now. So yeah, this is a bit about the things that I'm interested in. And finally, I come to what interests me more during my BTech days, which was the puzzle called Rubik's Cube. So first of all, again, I would like to thank SRM because it was only the city of Chennai. I was always interested in Rubik's Cubes. I was interested in chess. I was following Vishwanathan Anand when I was a child, but I could never go to the next level. So to go to the next level, it was only possible when I went to Chennai. No other city in India I can do that. So in Chennai, I got the exposure that I needed to meet the best minds in chess and in cubing. Also, cubing is a new sport, so it's easier to get good at it. So that's why I was able to break some records and so on. I currently also cube, but obviously in the mid-20s, it always gets tougher because you have a lot of work as well. But still, it's a really good hobby. And all the 230 people in the Zoom call, there is a SRM Cube Club still active. It's headed by Tapan and Aman. So I've never met them. They joined SRM after I graduated, but I know they are really able people, and you can just check them out. There are a lot of activities in SRM as well related to cubing. So yeah, I think so. I might not exceed the time limit. I have a Rubik's Cube with me, and the organizers just requested me to do a quick demo. So I'll be doing a quick demo. So solving a cube sighted is what many people are able to do. So what I'll be doing is trying to solve it blindfolded, which is a bit harder. So I'll first have a blindfold. I'll put it on, take off the earphones, memorize for about 30 seconds and try and execute. While please bear with me for 1 more minute. I'll just do a demonstration. So I hope the cube was in frame. Otherwise, I would have to do it again. But yeah, this was a 3x3 blindfold. As you can see in the picture, there's a 5x5 blindfold. It's more tougher to do. So there is more chance of failure. But yeah, I do like to do things which have high chances of failure. So that explains why I'm still in electronics and doing astronomy and astrophysics. These are all tough fields. So also cubing isn't tough, but it helps you build to do tougher tasks easily. So yeah, this is sums up my talk, quick brief talk. I would like to answer a few questions. If there are any, you can type it down in the chat.
May you share the good experience of getting the book of records for the cubes and
Yes.
your journey behind that, because that will motivate the students who are here to aim for something similar and then bring it to reality for their life.
So there were two types of records that I pursued. One was the normal World Cube Association records, where you try and get a faster time and get a national record, Asian record, or a world record, or attend world championships or Asian championships. So this was the record. I did it. I got two, while I was doing the BTech, I got 2 silver medals at Beijing, China, and also I got 2 Asian records and several national records. But the second type of record is what I think so will interest a lot of the students here. Is what I did was Limca Book of Records and India Book of Records, where I tried to make a mosaic. So mosaic meaning a picture out of thousands of cubes. So very generous 4th floor of UB block. There was Jawahar Filimis who helped me do all the logistics and buy 7,000 cubes. So 7,000 cubes. We bought it from Saukarpet. It was back then. We had to figure out logistics from scratch. And we were able to make a mosaic which was quite big, 6,000 cubes, which is quite it is a record kind of. Currently, it's there are people who attempt bigger records, but at that time it was quite big. So people who are still pursuing BTech, you can join car teams, and there are a lot of engineering teams in SRM, but there are also good teams which do things like cubing and chess, and you can also, so that there are still 5,000 functional cubes still in SRM. 1,000 they have worn and torn, so 5,000 are still good. You can pick them up. There are a lot of boxes. You can try and make mosaics. You can keep the tradition going if you want to.
Generally, how does that helps your career growth, academics, learning, memory, and how does it elevate your environment and things on? What is the connectivity? Can you help us understand that?
So it helps in 2 ways. One is that when you are doing it, like doing a group activity, so let's say mosaic making, you learn how to measure your own contribution, communicate well with the team, get the job done, which involves a team effort. And other end, if you are just focusing on solving one cube faster and faster, that helps you in getting a more disciplined, self-aware, and also get good in goal setting, and also getting more like learn more skills in order to progress more. So people generally they stop at, suppose, let's say 1 degree, and then they try and see if they have enough technical skills to survive in the job market. But then if they upgrade, they get more chances. So in the similar way in cubing as well, if you just learn, let's say layer by layer, you will be good enough, but no one will be, you won't stand out. So to stand out, you have to invest a lot of time and learn all the skills and get really proficient in it. And then only will people will say, okay, this guy has a lot of skills, so we should go and write a mail to him, like that.
There are a few questions which are there, Abjit. Would you
Yes.
like to see, or can we help in that?
Yes. So Siddharth Patle says how I got into astronomy field after college. So BTech college also helped me a lot. There is a not astronomy club in SRM, unfortunately, but we do have space weeks and a few activities going on there. So since SRM has thousands of students, like 25,000+ students, there is a chance that a lot of people will be interested in astronomy. So I was able to contact them, and I was able to keep in touch with them, discuss with them about what is the area and so on. So any kind of field in SRM will exist. So there is aerospace, aeronautics, astrobiology, every field, there will be people who like it. So yes. So Mayank Agarwal says he watched me
Yes.
perform in Arush events, which is true. So for at least
He's
3 Arush events, I was quite very enthusiastic,
active.
and
He
I
is-
was.
Mr. Mayank was one of the organizer of RS16 creatives team. So he
Oh,
congratulates you on that.
okay. Okay, so yes, so people are asking if I'm on other platforms. So I'm on every platform that exists, Quora, LinkedIn, Facebook, Weibo, all platforms, you name it. You just have to search and I will be there. And Okay, so Suryanyo Chattopadhyay asked a very technical question. How can laser tech help us encounter space debris? So there is a kind of a few companies in America who try and solve this issue. So recently, if you must have heard in the news, there was a company which there was government agency that tried to burn old Russian satellite using high focused energy photons. It's a solution which may or may not work. So Suranyo, even I don't have the answer. It's a thing which needs to be found out for itself. So someone says that, can you explain how astrophysics and electrical engineering are related? And this is a question which I have been addressing for last 4 years. They are related. Astrophysics doesn't mean that you are only solving E is equal to mc square. There are a lot of more things you have to do. So there is engineering, there is, yeah. So suppose if you are designing a payload which detects really like faraway objects, you are for the payload, you have to make sure it's radiation hardened. You have to make sure it's thermal simulations, everything is perfect. You have to make sure the electronics on it doesn't fail. It can relay back to the Earth station. So a lot of engineering goes into it. The physics part is also there, but engineering and physics both go hand in hand. So it's not like you are just sitting in a room and solving equations. Astrophysics is way more diverse than that. So yeah, I think so. These are the questions that I have. And
I have a
thank-
question. Yeah, so my question is, when did you start practicing this Rubik's Cube and how do you become the fastest in Asia? I mean, that's a
Yeah.
big achievement.
So before coming to SRM in 2013, I had that that melee wala cube, the cube that you buy in market. So that doesn't move and turn. It's frustrating to solve on it. So I went to SRM. I went to first competition in VIT in my first month itself. There I got to know, okay, people are using really fast cubes. There were people from IIT Madras. So Shastra Festival was there, which happened. So I got to know, okay, all these Chennai people are using really fast cubes. I have to buy them, get to know everything. So I went to Chennai, then only I got the head start. So it was first semester that I completely went into it. And at that time, there weren't that many resources. So you had to learn things on your own. But nowadays it's much easier to get started. So the hardware of cubing is really good. Also the online tutorials are really good. But at that time it was a challenge and it was a fun challenge to take up. Asmita Su says thoughts on privatization of space. It's a good thing, but also privatization is good, but there should also be like collaborative efforts. So when people go ambitiously proposing space missions, we should know that we are within some norms, international norms, and not like go bonkers and propose so many missions that we might not be able to handle. What are the consequences? So one consequence is space debris. There can be many more consequences. We don't know. So Naja says, what are the possibilities in India to pursue aerospace engineering? So this is a question which I can answer nicely because last week, one of my friends, they got into one of the top aerospace companies in India. So in SRM itself, there is aerospace department. A lot of people get placed into core companies, or there are some MNCs in aerospace that do work. But otherwise, in aerospace, it's a booming industry. Also astronautics or aeronautics is also a field which you might want to pursue. It's related to aerospace, but it involves a bit more of like niche technology, you might say, because aerospace and mechanical are mostly similar. So if you want to go into more niche technologies, get more towards the physics, less towards the mechanical engineering, then you can try astronautics and so on. Few companies that I know are HAL, Collins Aerospace. So these are all good companies. So you can try and aim for those after your education.
So that's about it for the question.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Your
Thank
address was indeed one of the most interesting ones you've had today.
Okay.
We appreciate you taking your time to address us. For the next speaker, today we have Ms. Nishant. She's an architect, urban planner, and urban development professional who's passionate about social and environmental issues. In 2008, she earned a bachelor's degree in architecture from SRM University. She then completed a master's degree in urban studies, community, and regional planning from Pierre Mendes University in France in 2015, followed by a master's degree in corporation and urban development at Technical University of Darmstadt in Germany. She's the founder of TUSAC and the technical director of Urban Design Collaborative. She was a co-convener at INTA in the Dark Area of Urban Land Transportation. She has worked as an intern in Austria for 5 months conducting research. She worked as an architect at CPG Consultants, as an integrated design associate architect and junior architect for Gayatri and Numbers Architects Private Limited. Ma'am, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. I hope I'm clear and audible. Good afternoon, everyone. It's both an honor and a pleasure for me to be present here today, invited as a speaker for this global alumni event. And I thank the team who has taken great efforts in organizing this event. Today, I will speak to you on the concept of smart cities and how they can aid the nation in alleviating poverty and homelessness. As an urban planner, working closely with governments and municipal bodies, my insights and opinions are informed by my work and the many interactions and experiences I have had with grassroots level communities, government authorities, decision makers, and NGOs across the span of my career, which is now over a decade. I will speak at a conceptual level, speaking of the potential of smart cities and the possibilities it holds. We, as a nation, are 5 years into the 100 Smart Cities programs initiated by the Government of India, and therefore, this is a topic of relevance to us all. It is important for us as citizens and inhabitants to understand the opportunities this holds for development and what we can expect from it in the best case scenario. So let us take a few minutes to understand what a smart city is. The word smart has many meanings: having or showing quick intelligence, having properties that can be changed in response to stimuli or environmental conditions, self-regulating, capable of remote, automated, and seemingly intelligent operation. It is also a word used to describe the intelligent and quick-wittedness of a person and the sense of dressing in style that is fashionable and dashing. So how can a city be smart? And how can it solve some detrimental issues we see today? In this age of rapid urbanization, cities are expected to grow exponentially. By the year 2050, the world population is predicted to be 9.7 billion, and about 70% of that population is expected to be living in cities. This means that existing cities will expand and densify, and hundreds of new cities will be cropping up across the world. Small towns and rural areas will see rapid and explosive development in an effort to keep up with this growth. India's urban population, just one sec. Sorry, I lost connectivity for a second. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I hope I'm audible. Yes. Yes. So in India's urban population, we're talking of the population in city areas only, is expected to grow from 410 million in 2014 to 814 million by 2050. That's almost double. India is projected to add 4 new megacities by 2030. What does all of this mean for us, and why should we care? Urban centers require that infrastructure keep up with population growth and that the authorities are able to maintain and upgrade services and amenities constantly. Without this, we will experience ever-reducing quality of life, the symptoms of which are overcrowded public transportation networks, poor or absent sanitation infrastructure, scarcity of resources, heavy pollution, crime, homelessness, and abject poverty. Not to mention increased incidence of flood, water shortage, and a struggle to attain the basic necessities of life. Does this sound familiar? Yes, this is already the state of many of our cities today. Imagine that situation when the same cities grow further and become more populated. Smart cities is the golden opportunity to develop 100 cities, both new and old, to prepare for this inevitable future. For today's talk, we will focus on the topic of homelessness and informal settlements, or slum in the context of cities, and the role smart cities can play in eradicating this scenario. When we speak of growing urbanization and expanding cities, we basically mean that more and more people will migrate from rural areas to urban centers in search of opportunities and economic growth. The notion that there is work available in cities, coupled with agriculture becoming more and more impractical due to loss of traditional knowledge, climate change, and depraved social setups in rural areas, will result in the youth moving to cities in search of jobs in pursuit of a dream of a better life. This influx of population will result in stressing the job market at all various levels of skill, thereby creating a severe imbalance in the demand versus supply narrative. The desperate rush for work opportunities will result in lower pay scales and less human and dignifiable working conditions. This will most affect the uneducated and underprivileged, and the situation will increasingly become difficult for people to afford a roof over their heads, leading to informal settlements. This is already a reality in all our cities, and the impending explosion of this situation is what we are planning to mitigate. And here is where smart cities can make a big difference. In a democratic country, we cannot control or prohibit internal movement. We must rather work on incentivizing movement to cities based on skill and strategically plan our cities so as to ensure that it can support the population it attracts and have sufficient cities acting as nodes across the country to accommodate those who want to live in cities. That's where smart cities come in. According to the National Research Development Corporation, the NRDC, a smart city is a city that may aim to make itself smarter, more sustainable, efficient, equitable, and livable. Over the last few years, there has been a plethora of definitions of a smart city. Some key words that stand out are sustainability, inclusivity, livability, resilience, Internet of Things, high-tech, interconnected, and intelligent.
Apologize for the technical difficulties. Mark will soon be joining us again.
She will be joining back in a moment. Please wait.
Yes. I request everyone to be kindly patient as we navigate through this technical difficulty. As we wait for our cards to turn, we will now be having a cultural program. We will now be having a cultural program presented by students of the Directorate of Alumni Affairs.
जैसा है कोई
Miss Shamir is back and she's figured it.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. I guess the city I am at is not smart enough. But yeah, so I'll just carry on from what I was saying. I was basically, I was talking about how sustainability, inclusivity, livability, resilience, etc., are the words that you hear in the definitions of smart cities. So, what do we mean by these words, and how can we accommodate them into our cities? Sustainability is the ability to serve the needs of the present without compromising the resources or needs of the future. This is key. So is livability, which is quite complex, but boils down to what it means to have a basic quality of life that is good, clean air, water, shelter, safety, etc. Smart cities look to the future in a decompartmentalized manner and a multidisciplinary lens, and uses available technology and a knowledge base to plan for the rapid upgradation and management of infrastructure so that it keeps up with the population growth. This also is done while maintaining a high quality of life for its inhabitants. With a strong vision in mind, the cities are planned integrating digital and data-driven tools to predict growth patterns in each type of infrastructure and implement it with minimal intrusion. This is done in parallel with conserving natural resources and ensuring that ecosystems and biodiversity thrives in and around the city. Be it water systems, air quality, or food, it is undeniable that our survival depends on the health and happiness of the planet. Hence, it is important that while the city supports the needs and wants of the human population, it must also cater to the plant, animal, microbial, and climatic considerations that flow in synchronization with global natural systems. So, in creating or converting to smart cities, the first step is developing an ambitious vision. The next is to develop a strategic, phase-wise action plan to achieve it. After that comes the laying of the infrastructure base. And here is where we must pay careful attention. The infrastructure should include housing, water, and sanitation for the population of today, and the plan to accommodate the future population as and when it grows. Real estate development must be incentivized and directed to develop housing that is affordable and accessible to all income groups. We must mandatorily focus on mixed income housing units so that to reduce the rich-poor gap. Mixed income housing group basically means that within a same unit or a same colony, there is both high and low income as well as middle income. So you into extremely rich housing colonies and poor housing colonies as we see in cities today. So mixed income housing group is extremely important. And this will also ensure less economic divide in the population. All of us, especially the students amongst you, have at some point experienced the difficulty of finding a rental house that fits our budget and provides a healthy space. And the experience of seeing dozens of houses before finally settling for one without sufficient air and light as we are constrained by affordability. This is because the real estate market remains largely privatized and unregulated, and therefore only high-income housing for the uber-rich have windows for fresh air, views of parks and gardens, clean roads with proper drainage systems accessing it. As part of the Smart Cities mission, local governments are empowered to drive housing stock through public-private partnerships. The understanding that lack of affordable housing and insufficient housing stock is key here. Hence, careful consideration is given to developing sufficient low-income housing and social housing, which will go a long way in solving our crisis of homelessness. Homelessness that results in encroachments and slums, or rather informal settlements. Basic needs cannot be ignored. Every human requires a space to lay down at their head at the end of the day. And if the city planning authorities do not take this into consideration, it will result in informal settlements, which in turn lead to unsanitary conditions and poor quality of life for the large majority of the population. Our country is an emerging economy. It's a developing nation. Documented urban poverty is over 25%, and it is predicted to increase. Smart cities provide a very unique opportunity, a mechanism or tool for local municipal authorities to drive development in a positive and human-centric manner. For the first time since independence, city governments have access to immense funding. There is also the liberty to create public-private partnerships and decentralized authority. Moreover, each smart city can have a dedicated MD and an office with qualified staff. That is why the smart cities have the potential to change our urban landscape. Cities can write their own stories and develop a vision that befits their dream. Why is this so important for us to speak about? As citizens, we must actively find ways to participate in this process and ask for what we want and support our city governments in shaping our future. We must also ensure that we speak for those who are less privileged and ensure that their voices are heard. I urge you all to close your eyes for a second and picture a nation or a city without poverty. Does it make for a more desirable life for all of us? With strategic planning, intelligent systems, engaged citizens, innovative funding mechanisms, and a strong vision, smart cities, with its abilities for a fresh start, may be the answer to the homelessness and informal settlement we see all around us. Remember, we don't know when we will get this opportunity again, and that is why this is a great moment for us to embark upon this change. Thank you. So, I mean, we have the time. I'm not sure if I've crossed over the time with all the technical disturbances, but we have the time. I'll be happy to answer some questions, or if anyone wants to reach out to me separately.
If anyone has any question, they can drop the questions in the chat box.
So yeah, there's a question, beggar-free cities also comes under smart city. So the concept of begging is a bit more complex. Yes, there are a lot of people who beg. That is a result of poverty. So poverty alleviation and that is reducing poverty is a whole topic in itself. But a large number of the beggars we see is part of human trafficking across borders, across states, across districts. So smart cities as a mission does not directly engage in solving with begging, which is again, like I said, linked to human trafficking. But definitely what comes under smart city is like a better active citizen engagement platforms, better ways of say food distribution, better types of roads. So we can solve the problem from a different angle of providing for needs through the city's administration and also infrastructure. So smart city is mostly infrastructure oriented rather than, so these would come under policies and policing and other kinds of child and welfare department, all of those as well. So it's only in indirect ways that it can be solved.
So much, Mark, for the answer. Personally, I have a question that since that you've studied in Germany, like how should students like apply to go outside directly from this SRM university and directly into Germany into a great college like yours?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to answer that. So I I can tell you my experience. So when I graduated, I had a very clear goal of what kind of work I wanted to explore. So I worked for about 5 years, exploring various types of architecture and planning, working under different architects, under different planners, so that I got an understanding of the entire space. Um, and with this understanding is when I thought, when I looked through all the programs that was really suited to me and my goals in the future from a professional point of view. And that's how I finally picked my master's and I applied. So that's it's one way of doing it. Many people directly apply after their undergraduate program itself. So that's one way, but I did it in this way. And what I gained, this particular master's I did, it's called Mundus Urbano. It's completely funded. And it also is for people with a minimum of 3 to 5 years experience. So you also get to meet people who are also explored the profession, and everybody is already coming with some experience. So that was my path to doing my master's. But on a general basis, the advice I would give is that you, as students, you have a lot of extracurriculars, you have a clear vision. So when you apply for an international master's, it's important to have a very strong statement of purpose, which is very personal and unique. And the way to do that is to really make sure it is personal and unique, that you tell your honest story and why you want to do it. So when you search a little bit for those answers, it really helps. The other advice would be to do a lot of extracurricular activities, participate in various clubs and things that are happening in SRM. SRM has a lot of opportunity. I was part of the athletic program, and all of this helps a lot because in the international universities really look at you as a whole student and not just your academics.
Thank you, ma'am. That was indeed a very informative session, and we are very privileged to hear and listen to you, ma'am. Thanks so much. Now, please help me in joining Himanshu Pandey, who describes himself as an engineer who enjoys experimentation, creativity, and urban administration. He's currently employed at Urban Innovation Mission and has previously worked as a consultant at Capacity Building Commission and as a young district professional at ETI. As a good governance associate in the Revenue District, he represented the Chief Minister's office and worked on the implementation of key initiatives in the district as well as the policy reforms at the state level. Apart from these, he has 4 publications, 2 accolades, and command over 5 languages. The stage is now all yours, sir.
Hi, I hope you can hear me and see me. Thanks for great introduction, guys, and for organizing this.
Yes,
Let me just
yes, sir.
quickly share my. Sorry,
Then you're visible as well. We can hear you.
I really can't hear you.
So you're audible and we can hear you, sir.
Oh, thanks, man.
So if you could be a little more louder.
Okay.
Be a little more
Better now?
louder. Yeah, it's fine, sir.
Right. Thank you. So, oh, great. So, hi everyone. I see a lot of I think professors are also here, and to Ratnam sir also, and all the fellow alumni. So, my name is Himanshu Pandey, and I work currently in Capacity Building Commission and Atal Innovation Mission, which is part of Niti Aayog. So I have a natural inclination towards being an innovation body, towards innovation, how innovation education combines to shape policy. So today's presentation is largely about that. I thought I'll give everyone a brief view shot of how does policy for innovation gets made in government, and how do we look at problems, and what are the different ways that people, or let's say engineers or even students like us, could engage on it. So talking about it, if you see it from a citizen's perspective, hold on, let me try to figure this. If you see from a citizen's perspective, you will lie somewhere in central of 3 governments. There is central government, which takes care of larger things like defense. Then there's state government, which takes care of smaller things like police, public health, local government, and local government as an institution. And then there is the third circle, which includes your municipalities, which includes functions such as waste management. They sometimes do urban planning, sometimes they build roads and all that. So as a citizen, you are in middle of all this. You are surrounded by three governments, and for every government, for every purpose, you approach to someone or someone other for certain kind of services. Let's say if you want to buy a railway ticket, you are basically approaching a central government. If you require, let's say, your garbage to be cleaned, you approach your mayor, or you approach your municipal commissioner or your local government municipality in that sense. So similarly, this categorization shapes how policy is made for every other domain, including education. And so the authorities that make and shape it. And that's why you see different approaches to it. Like, let's say national education policy is shaped by how central government sees or sees a policy that is favorable for a country. Then there are state governments that run primary, secondary schools, and also higher education. They deliver their own way of teaching. Keeping that in picture, and given a brief idea of how this works, most important that I feel, and like how my previous speaker spoke about, local governments play a very important role, because these are the governments that are closest to you. These are, let's say, if you're in a village, you are somewhere close to a rural government, you're somewhere approaching a panchayat. If you're a city, you're approaching municipal authorities. And there are three governments, like we say, but most important is again the one that you have to interface the most with. And that is where I feel is the need for maximum intervention or maximum innovation to be important. This is just a brief overshot of what it looks like. And now bringing it back to education, and how does the education governance looks like. So education, I believe, primarily is a state subject, where otherwise central government does shape a lot of higher education policies, but most of the delivery or primary, secondary education happens to the state government. And state government largely has two departments, one that does teaching, other that does planning for teaching. So one can be called the district education officers, where state government puts them in districts and controls how schools and how teachers are delivering their performance. And other end, you have SCRT like institutions, which more on lines of NCRT at the national level, which shapes what is to be taught, how the teachers are to be taught, what should be the method of doing the whole thing. And then you have teaching and non-teaching stuff. And again, but then there's always been this conversation about how our education system is not good enough, our public system or public education system is not good enough. So there's no shying away from the fact that we are in fact improving. We are in a era where there is a lot of change happening in education system, both to private and public. A lot of reports have been written about it, like ASR reports, which talks about how the education percentage in the education quality is not as good as it's supposed to be. Like, in one statistics that very starkly stood out was that the class third student can barely read class 1 student syllabus. So there are some of these findings are really nerve-wracking, and tells you that the system maybe needs to be relooked at and what its problems are. And also the problems are not all those which cannot be solved. Those are easily addressable, or those just require a little more attention. So some of these statistics give us that. And now if anybody wants to follow up, they can probably read up about ASR, how they write about how the education competency is actually measured across different classes. Then there was a national achievement survey, and also very recently published school education quality index survey, which was written by Niti Aayog, that compares states by their education performance. And naturally, as we have seen, Kerala leads the table, and other states like UP and Bihar are still somewhere trying to improve, but the jump has been quite good over the last few years. So if I have to sum it up, and that's where like most people are interested or want to know why we should be critical about the system. My first belief is the assessment is not that good. Like, you have assessment, public assessment only in class 10th and 12th. And this class 10th and 12th in a way become the only parameter where it can be judged with fairity. Because otherwise in government schools, the classes below that, the marks that are supposed to be entered determines the quality or the outcome or how the teacher's performance is seen. So in a way, the teachers do not engage in a very fair assessment, and that is why we see that although we have a lot of data coming in from government that says ki our students are doing very well, but when assessment reports like ASR are brought in, the reality seems to be very different. And why there's a public perception that private schools are better than public schools. This was one of those reasons. And this assessment is largely because of two reasons again. One is that our assessment method is somehow faulty in a way that we do not look at competencies the way look at how much you can moggle up and write back. And that sort of a teaching leads to what we call rote learning, and not a push towards how you need to think when you're talking about innovation, or how you need to approach when you think about problem solving and all that. So these are the two larger problems that we see in assessment. Then there's pedagogy. Pedagogy is largely about how you teach, and a lot of teaching is in a way has seen shift from public schools to private schools. You see a lot of people shifting to private schools because they believe they deliver a better learning or better learning opportunity, but it may not be so because the pedagogy is uniformly faulty. There is barely any emphasis on how you should teach with competency. One simplest example for this is we have a when we have a comprehension in a textbook and you have some questions following it, the real reason you're doing that is because you are supposed to gain a competency of how to read and then able to comprehend some points which follow to that. That's the actual skill, which is the skill itself is called comprehension. But then it largely becomes exercise of how much text you can remember, and then the idea of question answer is forgotten, and then somewhere else it gets lost. So it becomes like activity of how much can you really remember, and not about really engaging with it. And the education system and delivery itself is somehow not able to address that. So there is a pedagogy issue with this. And last, review and monitoring. Education jobs in last few years in Government of India have seen a lot of applications. Like a lot of people are writing TET exams and other state eligibility exams. So there is enough amount of supply, but somehow over the years, due to review and monitoring process not being that strong, we do not see a lot of teachers being on the same level of motivation or not being at the same level of competence that they joined in earlier. So there is a fair bit of lack of review and monitoring as well. And these assessments, pedagogy and review and monitoring, basically where our challenges lies, like at least largely. And these challenges when are being addressed obviously by different interventions at different levels. Few of these is how we break it down and see at different levels. One of the projects that I was closely involved was in Haryana, where we got to learn a lot about how education system in government schools has been stagnant for a while, and a lot of initiatives could be brought in from a state level and a district level to get them to do and perform better. And where our main assessment, when our main intervention at the structure level was to bring assessment framework, at least where like I spoke about earlier, there is assessment only at somewhere at 10th and 12th as a board exam. Before that, there is no third party evaluation in a way where the assessment itself is being done fairly. So our assessment framework structure was brought in, which relied more on RCT like method, where instead of interviewing or questioning all the students and all the schools in the schools were chosen as a sample from, let's say, a larger population of a block and then a district, and these were then studied every few months to understand how much are they actually scoring in their competencies. And these would not be laborious questions where you'd have to write 50-page essay and all that. It's about just 10-15 1 questions, but repeated in regular intervals, so that the data is already available, is always available. And there were technology systems reforms, like bringing in systems that teachers can use, and like I said, there was a problem with assessment, pedagogy, and review and monitoring. So technology system is not just required in pedagogy or in assessment, but also in review and monitoring. How you have data to monitor which competency is falling behind in which area, which teacher is which blocks are not doing in certain subjects. So because ultimately the goal of the state or the system is to deliver as good of education as possible. And similarly, there are other structural initiatives like school configuration, making sure that they had hard and soft infrastructure that they needed to do their job. And then there were institutional reforms. Too much of, again, getting into nitty-gritty of any system is not that great, but you still need to form the structure that runs it. So you need a better institutional framework that can monitor all this and make sure that all stakeholders are properly aligned. They are all in the process of dealing with each other as fairly as possible. And then there's obviously, like I said, it is not possible till you intervene in pedagogy. You need to intervene how teachers teach, and this was again a responsibility somewhere, like I said, of SCRT, which is on the right hand side. SCRT is their NCRT like body, which basically takes care of a lot of administrative support for teachers, their pedagogy support, their learning support, and all that. So a lot of interventions were brought in through them, through a technology pilots, remedial education, and a lot of interventions in class aimed only at primary, some aimed only at middle, and then some learning collaterals which teachers and other people like blog resource person people could use. These are blog resource persons are basically aids to teachers who develop certain way of teaching certain subject, and they help teachers to do it. So building their competency as well through learning collaterals. And again, if you remove boring part, structure and pedagogical, which people not associated with education may seem like a lot of new words and seem like too heavy of things to talk about, but there were a lot of interventions that drove it, and those were the part that remains common across different interventions, irrespective whether you do education or any other program. You need to build a leadership or a team at top which can actually monitor it and then pass on the responsibility at different stakeholders at different levels. So there was a very good system set up with administrative leadership of how, let's say, other people such as deputy commissioners which are not directly on education system get involved in reviewing them, how you can drive a program which drives, let's say, monitoring from the local level to the highest level. And similarly, all the other enablers, which includes things like Saksham campaign, which is about involving teachers, students, and their parents on a single forum. So that will help that if there are issues beyond education system itself, like the student comes from an area which is, let's say, not very favorable to education, then maybe the parent and teacher interaction can help that. So a lot of these interventions in a way enables us to intervene at different levels. So even if you look at now the grim picture, like I showed you before, there's a lot of problems in our education system which are highlighted by reports and in particularly in different areas. They are being addressed, and but this is not the end of the line, and this is why it's so important that a lot more people get involved. And like my earlier speaker was speaking about, education is not just the only area. Education is actually what I see as the problem area where we really need to intervene. But there's another opportunity area, and there are so many. Like this is probably the most important that I feel, and that's like everybody else in the sector feels is happening right now, is the urban growth in India. Like we are building a new Chicago every year. We are growing that fast in cities. That also means that we have problems of our own in cities. So just like now you saw there was a problem with education system, now you also need to understand where do you need to build opportunities for, where are the opportunities going to come from, and how are you supposed to prepare for that. So there are a lot of problems, like I said, in urban cities also, and like we pointed out earlier, some of the key issues are that urban cities find issue when defining their problems right. If there is, let's say, in a city, let's say if there's a sewer system that has a lot of issue being fixed, it's usually because there is not enough pressure pumps that are available that can clear this traffic in most places. And you would find the smaller cities where the roads are smaller, the machines cannot be taken in. So that becomes a very simple problem, but that can be solved by, let's say, a small handheld machine or the super sucker like system which can go into smaller congested areas. They already exist, but they are still being deployed and all that. But people who have these problems do not define them well enough in the first place to find these solutions. So there is a problem in defining problem, sourcing solutions, and again reviewing and finding a best case fit for it, and then onboarding and procurement. So this one just basically gives you an idea कि just like how we talk about education system and its problems, here are different places there are opportunities waiting for you to intervene on. Hi Anushka, I'll come to that, don't worry. But there are solutions also. Like I said, there are different problems that we deal with. Let's say plastic, reducing plastic is one solution. There are a lot of companies in India, outside India, that are doing a great job at a different level. And this is how we, in a way, when we look at a problem or a policy, how do we see as solution, identifying our solutions. So we just sort of do a stakeholder mapping, and I'm just putting up here for you to see how there's so much solution, there is so much discussion that is already going around. There's so many startups that are working around. This is one example, but there is another one like stubble burning. Stubble burning, we are seeing a lot of solutions, but we still need more solutions which can help us in, let's say, medium and long term. There are some startups that are doing really good, and this is some of those areas where our education and our system that of innovation that is in place needs to work better so that identification of problems happens early and students are aligned to work on these things early. Like I showed you a plastic reducing plastic solution. This was a problem that started, maybe was identified as a serious problem maybe 20-30 years ago, and now thanks to a lot of intervention and innovation community, you do have startups that can somehow address these solutions, can work on, let's say, reducing plastic, supplying alternatives, or managing logistics, or even removing plastic that has been there for long. But you do not find the same amount of startups or, let's say, innovations in stubble burning. So that's one perspective of it. If there is growth, there is also an opportunity to intervene in. And smart city or any other local government that we want to establish or call it smart needs to have different factors incorporated, which includes everything from living to governance, from economy to mobility. So all these factors are facets of different expertise, and this is where our education system also needs to account for and build competencies of people so that the problems which are very local or very policy wise on the same level is solved by a cohesion and people coming together from different domains, so you can say. So like if I said here, if you see problems of onboarding and sourcing solution, onboarding is sort of a economy issue. We still haven't figured out a very good way to, let's say, buy from startups. But working on such a framework which can be economically profitable for both and socially good for all is available is a big component of how economic education or how economic competency comes into the picture. But there are a lot of other things, like I said, about innovations and technology itself, that is a domain of, let's say, hardcore technology in finding some solution in a photo last. So in a way, if you really want to solve problems, you have to bring in people from different competencies, different skill sets, bring them to sit on a single problem, and let them work on a single front to solve a problem. And this is where the role of innovation or teaching for design innovation comes into picture. NEP talks a lot about it. NEP talks about how we should bring in design thinking early, how we should start teaching kids about how to think about design or how to think about a process through a problem solution framework. But it again is all geared up towards the same thing. We should acknowledge our problems, we should find solutions on our own, and build more startups, build more entrepreneurs who can do this, build more problem solvers in a way, not just about profitable companies. So this is to be done through, again, a process which we call a journey of an idea. You begin by grooming. You try to see what is the utilization track, and you try to build domain knowledge accordingly. And then you bring in perspectives from different places. So grooming would mean that, let's say, if you're building innovator in an incubator, you need cross sector knowledge, or you need to teach him how let's say business plan is to be made. At the same time, you need to teach him how prototyping is to be done, and how at the same time you do and take care of your legal rights like intellectual property and all that. So there's a fair bit of grooming that is required, that begins the journey of an idea. You groom the idea with different knowledge, different skill sets. You develop it in collaborations with different institutions. You develop it through partnerships within different firms, or you can, a lot of students, if they're building this early, bring in together their incubators and other institutions to do this with them. But that's the idea, that you groom students so they can develop their idea, then they pilot it, and then they grow. And this is why education system needs to back it up and bring into their planning itself. And this is what NEP also strives to talk about. Okay, if you want to talk about building solutions, then you need to build it in students first, because these students will shape the solution making world of tomorrow. So in terms of design and in terms of policy design particularly, we look at how these challenges or steps can be used as a platform for us, or how we could address this as a challenge for ourselves. There are challenges. I'll just jump to this one first. So this is how we acknowledge the same problem, that there is, if you divide this into phases, you begin with idea and you go all the way to commercialization, at least from innovation lens. I understand this might seem like a smaller subset of the larger problem, but my perspective, my job is largely around with innovation. So I would like to focus specifically on this and say how, let's say, education shapes innovation knowledge, or how to teach innovation, and that how it shapes up to solve problems of local government, people, and society in general. So here, innovation begins with the idea. We go about building, researching on your idea. You look at the problem, you put this through the solution framework that we look at. You search for solutions, you develop a POC, and all the way you build a company around it, or you make it larger to commercialize it if you wish to do so. But that's the innovation cycle, and that is what it feeds into from our education system. And we at Atal Innovation Mission India try to address that at some level. So we start early with students. We have Atal Tinkering Labs that try to build this infrastructure of tinkering within schools. There's been a lot of criticism about how there is no emphasis on learning and doing instead of just not learning. So we try to build a lab itself where there's a lot of small tinkering tools like Arduino. You have 3D printers, you have all the basic electronics you use, you have hydraulic systems and all that, which students can use to tinker with and build their own solutions, and in a way push them towards this innovation cycle. We do that early, and then we are also working on Atal Community Innovation Centers, which are basically open to all. Anybody has an idea, walks in. You walk in at an idea, you can go all the way to prototyping and hence and so forth. And then we have other structural programs like incubation centers. Incubation centers are places where you go at much serious level, where your startup idea, or let's say your innovation has matured enough, you build a prototype, and now you go there to scale it up and make it more commercial, or to at least a startup scale. And there's Atal New India Challenge. These are structural support. Like I said, you Like there is phase 1 here, which is about building institutions, and phase 2 is about supporting deployment through other interventions, not just about teaching them, but about giving them money and supporting them through different procurement channels within government. That is structural support. And the last is coordination and governance, where we are saying if you want to take this more distant, you have to collaborate with people who are on ground. So let's say adult community innovation centers and aims to address gaps where we may not have seen a lot of innovation happen, such as northeast, some underprivileged area, tribal areas. So we want to push for more innovative education there, and these infrastructure that you see in a way tries to do that at different levels and tries to break that barrier of innovation, builds a barrier of problem solving for everyone. And the last that I want to conclude with is just a snapshot for those who are serious about solving problem through innovation, about how do you go about it, and how do you acknowledge and work towards challenges that you may face in building solutions. So you begin with idea. This is a standard valley of death graph that we show to startups early that are working with us, that are the early stage startups that are just incorporating. So just to give them an idea about where do you use to begin with. So you start with the idea, you do your R&D, you do your technology transfer if there's a technology transfer required. Technology transfer means, let's say you are working on new packaging solutions for dried chips. Let's say that's your innovation. You're not gonna sit and innovate everything. Some technologies you need to get from other institutions, like let's say a government lab or other startup that has already developed it and incorporate it. It's almost like buying a new set of batteries from different market. But again, here, since you are buying technology, you've got to be a little more careful than that. But that involves cost, and that is why this is where you see the company going in loss. And this is why this is called value of death, because as you develop your innovation, the further is your loss in society. Obviously, not incorporating for heavy funding if you get, let's say, or if you're very rich. So that's different. But nevertheless, you begin with idea, you go with R&D, you go to technology transfer, you launch your product, and then your product succeeds, if it succeeds. But that is where the startup needs more support, and this is where we say, acknowledge it early and get the support where it is available. You get your mentors, you go and found incubators. SRM has one of its own, SRM incubator, which is fairly well done. And yes, we have SRM Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center. They do a good job in this as well. So those who are in SRM or in and around or other places can explore that. And once you are out of that, you have launched your product. Before you succeed, you obviously require funds to grow big. Let's say you have developed the technology, you have developed a business plan, but you need to buy, let's say, raw material plus machinery or plus invest on people to do this. So you require funding there, and that's where incubator again becomes very important, because incubators, like let's say SRM's incubator or any other IIT based incubator or any of the Atal Innovation Mission incubators that we've built, have access and connections that can get you at least the initial funding, can get you connected to people who may have done this before, so you get more funding there. So in a way, this helps cross the valley of death. So now you finally succeed in a business. So now if you put this together, we started with how there is an education system that is facing challenges. At the same time, there is a very good opportunity in terms of what urban governance, let's say one subject, if you say urban governance, how there is so much scope to work on so many more problems, and then how there is a channel that is available beyond government itself. Government empowers a lot of bodies, and a lot of institutions like incubators, a lot of other private universities that they do their own incubators, other infrastructure like that. People can explore there, go there, and not just rely on, let's say, a traditional and institutional framework of college education plus school education, but also build more vocational value by themselves. And programs like Atal Community Innovation Center, this on top, is precisely that, and a lot of other programs similarly in this country, which is not just linking innovation to education per se in terms of certificate and degree, but in terms of building more vocational knowledge for yourself, building more opportunities and innovating on your own if you have that interest, or even promoting startups that start early, or let's say people who have smaller ventures and they think they can be bought up. So in a way, this is what I see as the future of education policy and innovation in future. Innovation is a driver for policy anywhere you see, and education is a big driver for innovation. So in this way, this is in a way a funnel of all. You build better education systems, they will drive more innovation, and you have better policy. better policy in the sense not in terms of just design of policy but implementation of policy. It is how big if this policy say if we want to eradicate, let's say, manual scavenging, but till you don't have solutions, enough social innovation, enough product innovation, that solutions are not going to be solved. So that is my perspective on it. Somebody asked about NEP, and like I said, my belief on any new education policy is very simple. Ki it's a great push to talk about how design thinking should be brought in, how education should, not just talk about rote learning or building people who can pass exams, but about actually bringing competencies, teaching them skills that matter. Like even if you want to be a carpenter, be a very damn good one, because if that is what NEP is going to talk about, that is what it is all about. Let people explore their interests and go towards direction that they want. And in a way, that's a very good and very favorable statement for innovation, at least, because like I said, innovation I see is a very good driver for societal change. And to drive the societal change, you need systems that support it. So that is my view on education policy. Again, there is further debate about who implements it. It's a policy and recommendation after all, so it's not necessary that it will be implemented by states as it is told, but then it's a good guideway in a way. So that's my thinking on it. How much time will it take to completely implement the new education system of India? It is not a new education system. Like it's just a you know if you do want to take it that far, I would say it's just an adaptation and making this existing system a little better. So in that sense it has already begun, but since state government, functionally speaking, state governments can take decisions on their own education framework, they will most likely take that route and some states will adopt it. But over the time, whatever NEP talks about is basically the demand of the society and the market. So it will eventually be shaped that way. If you talk about vocational education and giving rights to students to learn what they want, you really can't hold that back to any extent of time. So I'm sure the changes will start early, but for materialization of vision of new education policy, it is probably 15-20 years in total. But again, that's my opinion. Also, that is how it is designed. It is not designed to be changed to be bought in a day or months or just in few years. There are short term, long term, and very long term goals. Sorry. Yes, Sanjan, I hope I have answered your question. I can't hear you. Sorry.
Thank you, sir, for answering all our questions patiently. It was very delightful hearing those words.
I'm so sorry. I can't hear you.
Sir, are we audible now?
I can hear just something you're saying, but I can't comprehend what you say.
Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Thank you so much for your words. Thank you so much for answering the questions. We are all delighted to hear these words from you, and I hope it will help this education system come compared to other countries. I hope this policy gets implemented.
I
Thanks so
still
much.
can't hear you. I'm so sorry. But I hear thank you, so I think that's my cue. Anyway, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a good further session and hope to interact with you all soon.
Thanks. So, moving on to our final speaker of the day, we have a very special person with us, Ms. Tamilola Banwa. Ms. Tamilola is a public speaker, disability management consultant, educator, youth and coach mentor, co-founder and director of KTKYC Educational Consultancy and Academy. She graduated from SRM University with a degree in Bachelor's of Occupational Therapy with honors at first class. Following graduation in 2015, she did a master's in psychology from the University of South Wales in 2021. She previously worked as a program director for KTC KYC Education Consultancy Limited and now is employed by AHRC New York City as a case manager employment and community support coordinator. She volunteered at Keith's Playhouse Science, Down Syndrome Achievement Centers, taught in the Department of Special Education Needs at CIS levels, and worked as an instructor at Activity Club Occupation Therapist in Nigeria. Now, the floor is all yours.
Hi, good morning. Okay, it's morning over here, pretty early. But good morning, and I'm happy to be here once again. It's such a delight to hear. I joined in when the couple of guys were singing, and in Tamil, and it's quite a delight to be here and to hear us all again. It's been a while, so I'm happy to be here. Okay, so I was told to talk. You said what?
I said we are also happy to have you with us.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I was told to I'll be speaking on the impact of social media on the mental well-being of individuals living with a disability. And I remember I had to drop that on LinkedIn to sample people's thoughts, and I got a bit of reviews and responses, which were quite enlightening and encouraging as well. So I didn't know that this was going to be a presentation, so I did not prepare slides. I thought it was just going to be discussions, and that's exactly what I would be doing. So I'll be talking about it, and I'll be having anyone with any questions could drop it off for me in the chat or in the question and answers slot, and then I'd respond to every bit of it. Okay, so when we talk about the mental well-being of individuals with disability, I'd rather say the mental well-being of everyone. You know, the world has been going through a lot in the last couple of years. In the last 2 years, 2019 up until 2021. Around this time, we started, many of us started hearing about the coronavirus in 2019, and then in 2020. Around March thereabout, America went on shutdown, and then it's been on like that up until late 2020, 2021. There's been different variants. There's been the Delta variant. Now we're talking about the Omicron variant. So there's a lot going on in the world, messing with people's mental health, even typical humans and not even humans with disabilities. So the world itself, it's depleting, and we see its effect on everyone's mental health. So when we say that, mental health and all that, we would be referring to, of course, our psychological well-being, ability to stay happy, to stay sane, to stay in a right frame of mind with mindfulness and awareness of our present situations and conditions, ensuring that we stay aloof, whatever is going on around us, and find inner peace, inner joy and satisfaction, in our existence and in life around us. So having said that, we would say that, social media has been a big part of people's communication, existence. Social media for some people is a business platform, is a place where they trade, a place where they make money, a place where they make their livelihood. And it's a place where some people have had severe mental breakdown, so there is the positive side and the negative side to it. It's on a flip, but both the positive and the negative is on the flip. Now, when we want to narrow that down to individuals living with disabilities, then it's going to be at their positive impact and at their negative impact. I would say, yes, there are positive, there are negative, but I'd say that because of the category we're specifically looking at, would say that there are more positives, if there is intentionality to the usage of social media. There are more positives than negatives. Now, when I mean positive, I'll cite an example. I met a young man on social media who, not one man, a couple of people on social media who are polio survivors. I actually met them on social media. I met quite a number of them on social media. I met them on social media, and whilst meeting them, corresponding and exchanging, messages, I realized that social media had been a big part of them grooming their business and bringing their ability and their potentials to the world. Social media had provided them a platform that you don't need to see my face. You just need to see what I can do. You just need to see what I'm able to give, what services I'm able to provide. So talking with them, I realized that social media gave them such opportunity, unlike when you meet people physically and there is already a marginalization. The moment they get to see you, people you get stigmatized, or you get pulled aside just because of your physical appearance. But on social media, all you get to do is show what you want to do, show what you're doing, or show what you are giving, and then you get to make livelihood from your strength and your ability without people pushing you aside based on physical presentation. So, you know, I met a makeup artist. I met someone who makes shoes. He makes shoes, he makes flops, you know, different styles, types. I met someone who is into makeup artistry on social media. At KTCKYC, we trained a lady, a wheelchair-bound lady, polio survivor, wheelchair-bound lady in makeup artistry. You know, so okay, yes, I'm getting the questions. Okay, yes, I'll answer to you. All right, so I've met quite a number of people with disabilities, you know, living their life, making good use of social media, and, you know, ensuring that they are able to sustain, you know, themselves financially, and you know, meeting their, you know, their needs, the basic needs as individuals. So as much as, you know, there is the positive side, there is also the negative side. And the negative side, you know, would become more apparent or more obvious when there is no intentional use of social media. Even as an individual, just in this week, I can't count how many times I turned off my Wi-Fi, I turned off my data on my phone, and all there is just my mobile network. Just call. If you need to talk to me, call me or send me a text, just because I want to stay off social media for a couple of hours in the day, just to stay sane. There is a lot going on. You get a lot of news. What you don't want to hear, what you don't want to see is thrown at your face because you're on social media. So deliberately knowing when to cut off or when to step aside, you know, for your mental health is one thing that, you know, a conversation we want to be having more, you know, how that's, as much as there is a positive aspect of social media, we need to be careful of its overwhelming effect on our well-being and on our ability to stay happy and in the right frame of mind. So that being said, also we have people on social, we have you know, another negative aspect of social media would be, you know, cyberbullying for individuals with disabilities. You see someone with a disability put a picture of himself on social media, and you see hate messages and all that. I think to a large extent, people are becoming aware, because there is a lot of awareness going on social media now, from professionals, from different outfits and organizations, you know, putting more information out to ensure that people with disabilities are not traumatized on social media and all that. So we would say that there is a decline. I would say that to some extent there is a decline in cyberbullying and the likes, because we see less of people. You go through a comment session and you see someone with a disability put a picture of himself, and you see people praying for him or her. You see people, you know, saying lovely things about him or her. You see people passing great comments, seeing positives rather than the negatives, seeing ability rather than the disability through the comment sessions. I love to go through comment sessions a lot. When I'm social media, there are a lot of times I may be there and I'll just be quietly on there, just reading comment from different posts and all that, because when I do that, I get the ability to go into people's mind. I know how they think when you read their kind of comments, you know. So you see a lot of those positive comments on social media, and you're happy that, you know, the world is gradually accepting individuals with disability. It's not their fault that they are with disabilities. They didn't choose to be with a disability. Some disability was quite congenital for them. That means it came from birth, and some it was acquired during the course of their life, you know. So for whatever reason, no one chooses to live with a disability. So when life presents them with such options, they they better make good use of it, and they better live well and purposeful, which is something we really encourage at KTCKY, ensuring that people live a meaningful, purposeful life, regardless of limitations and regardless of their of their presentation. And even at the company I work here in the US, it's such a wonderful organization that supports its individuals with disabilities from all spheres, from all spheres of life, and even ensuring that they have a voice, they have opportunities, to thrive, opportunities to grow, opportunities to be who they want to be, regardless of their presentation. So yes, there are the positive aspects to social media usage. There are the negative impacts as well. But when we look at it with the way the world is going, with the way information is accessible to the world today through social media, we see that we will tend to see more of the positive sides, to social media and how it affects well-being. And just like I said, I would reiterate again, I would emphasize that is there should be a controlled and intentional usage of social media by everyone, not only people with disabilities. There should be a conscious and intentional usage of it. I think with that, controlling the overwhelming effect, is brought to a bearable extent or limit. Okay, so I'll look through that question, ma'am. What are the alternatives to occupational therapy? I do not understand what you mean, but if I get the question, I'd say that occupational therapy is a profession on its own. It's a science of using occupation activities to help people move from a place of inability to ability, ensuring people are able to go about their daily activities of living, able to carry about their activities of existence, whether your job, whether your chores at home, you're able to live a meaningful, purposeful life, and a capacitated life, not incapacitated, a capacitated life, to the fullest. So occupational therapy basically uses that science to bring people from, whether with any diagnosis, whether neurological conditions, we have, stroke, getting someone with stroke or with paresis. Paresis is weakness of the muscles, or with paralysis, whether partial or, from a place to ensure that they are able to, to live life. And that could mean remedial or compensatory. Remedial means that they lost an ability and they are remediating, they are picking up another ability, or they are compensating, so it's either of, so it's either you are getting a new or you are improving on an ability based on it, on a diagnosis or an illness. So occupational therapy brings you to, okay, someone is raising his hand. Occupational therapy brings you from that point of low ability to, to ability. Occupational therapy directs your participation to how effective chores as small as picking a cup is important. How effective is being able to comb your hair is a skill that would help you in use of your hand. How effective is blinking your eye is an effective, aspect of using your sight. How effective is strength in the muscles of your mouth are important to you being able to speak. So that's basically what occupational therapy. So if in layman, I try to bring it down in layman. So if you say what are the alternatives to occupational therapy is a profession. You either study occupational therapy or not. We have brother professions such as respiratory therapy, such as physiotherapy, such as speech language and pathology. So it's a profession on its own. Okay. Any other question? I think I've used about 15 minutes. I don't know if I have more. So yeah, so I said that. So social media and mental well-being are not so apart. However, it boils down to intentionality of its usage. It's whether with disability or without disability, it boils down to its usage, the intentionality behind its usage, the purpose for its usage. And there is, but then I would say, because I harness the power of social media a lot in information dissemination and stereotypical in the shift of stereotypical knowledge that the people have. You know, there is a gradual shift. We are beginning to see more of paradigm shift in people's mindset and thoughts about people with disabilities. We are beginning to see people have a more empathetic approach to dealing with individuals with disabilities, because more information are released on social media, and social media is so accessible to anyone. You know, it's a global village. It's so accessible to anyone wherever you are in the world. So you see what someone posted in Africa, you see what someone posted in Asia, you see what someone posted in North America. So you are quite aware of things going on all over the world. So information, because of that, information travels, and we see that more positive information about, you know, individuals living with disabilities are coming out, and people are getting sensitized, informed, better aware of what is and what is not. And we see more of empathy with people when people, you know, refer to people with disabilities on social media. All right, thank you. I see the host turned on their video now, so thank you. More questions?
First question of the day. We have a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
What could be possible alternatives to occupational therapy?
I cannot hear you.
I have a question. It's not really related to mainly on social media, but it's kind of like a virtual world and real world question. With like metaverse coming in and like selling the virtual world, do you think that virtual world is more important than real world right now?
No,
What would be the future?
frankly, no, it's a big no for me. The virtual world is not more important, but both can go side by side and both can work together.
But like,
there is
don't you think it's dangerous how metaverse is trying to sell the land in the virtual world, and now it's like people are aim to believe that it's more important than the real world right now. Or in the
No,
future,
it's
maybe.
not. No, I beg to disagree on that. There is that, you know, there are studies that are being conducted, and they are beginning to show us there is a decline in physical relationships because people spend a lot of time on social media. You have friends on social media that you haven't even met them in person. You don't know who they are behind their keyboards, and you know, it doesn't feel so real. That doesn't mean that you have to meet everybody. You know, I may never meet someone in South America for the rest of my life, but then we stay connected on social media. But I would never say that the virtual world or the social media world is more important than the physical world. Humans are we are social beings. We need people in our lives. We need relationships, and not just social not virtual relationships. We need real relationships. Hence the reason we have partners, we have friends in our lives, we have colleagues. You need someone you can feel their touch, you can feel their sense of loyalty towards you. You know, you can feel their emotional attachment towards you. That's what humans are. That's what we are for. We are not just beings that all we need is people behind my phone on their keyboard, you know, sending. When I'm down, I don't want no virtual hug. I want a physical hug, and that can only be given to me by someone beside me or someone who is close to me. When I'm happy, I don't want someone showing me emoticon on social media dancing. Yes, it is good, but the one beside me that will show me to my face that he is really dancing for me means more to me. So I would not say that the virtual world is more important. The virtual is more important. I would say that the virtual world is important. It has become a huge platform for people all over the world to connect and to do things together, to be innovative, to bring things to life, to create things. However, we can never underestimate the power of the physical relationship, of physical connection with people. I'm not sure that is ever going to be possible. So no, virtual world is not more important. It is important, it is needed, but it is not more important.
We also would like to thank you for your kind and encouraging words, ma'am. And also thank you for taking the time out to share them with us.
Thank
so
you.
much, ma'am. Thanks.
Yes, I think there's a question. Oh, what do you think is the future of social media in the lives of people with this? Okay, so by the way, this person asking me what I think is the life of people on social media is the assistant director of employment and business services at my organization here in the US, Yulia. Thank you for coming. She saw the post on LinkedIn and she said she was going to join. Thank you, Yulia, for coming. Oh yes, what do I think the future of social media in the lives of people? I personally think social media is a great tool for people with disabilities. I personally think so. And I personally think that we are beginning to harness its power, even though we are not there completely yet, but a couple of us are beginning to see how powerful it is. A typical example is what we are doing at KTCKYC, what I do with my personal brand, KTCKYC. I see I remember when we started the academy last year, I think we started running through it last year. We did not put it so much on social media because we wanted to start a cohort that we didn't want the publicity yet. We just wanted to test run the ideas. We wanted to bring the ideas from black and white to life. And we wanted to see what we can achieve with those ideas. And basically, what was our academy doing? We are training individuals with disabilities to have a skill of their own that they can monetize, they can make money from, and be able to sustain their life. And that is one core of occupational therapy, which is living a functional life, an independent life. Independent living is one of the goals of occupational therapy. You are within the threshold of your disability, you are able to be independent to the highest of of your abilities within the limits of the disability. So and now that the second cohort is about starting, and I see a lot of my publicity team putting a lot on social media, and I see how effective and how people are beginning to gravitate towards, oh, this is beautiful, oh, this is that. I see a lot of people with disabilities sell things on social media. Just like I started off with a lady who sells her wares on social media. I started with a man who sells shoes that he built himself. He would show you the process of building, and you will see him making the shoes, and he sells them on social media. I see a lady who is into catering and baking, event organization through social media. So social media for individuals with disability is a big tool for entrepreneurship, a big tool for employability. All you have to do is put yourself out. No one is going to know you if you don't put yourself out. You've got to learn to master its usage and put yourself out. And I'm happy that there are a lot of organizations that are working with people. I work in one of the best organizations in America today, so that caters for the needs of individuals with disabilities. And we see what people with disabilities can do or have the ability to do only if they are well supported. And people are beginning to harness such skills. So yes, the future for people with disabilities with the use of social media is such a bright one. I see it's such a bright one. However, just like I said, there should be intentionality. There should be deliberateness towards its usage and more targeted usage of it, and then we would have it power. We see social media. On social media, you make adverts, you publicize yourself, you bring people's attention to you, so the opportunities will come your way. So social media is such a big tool, and I personally think it is. But then, as I said earlier, there is the negative aspect, and that is where the intentionality comes in. There should be a balance. If not because of this presentation, my data on my Wi-Fi is turned off for the night. I turn it off when I'm about to, at about 9 p.m. and I don't turn it on until later in the day, just because and being intentional about its usage. So intentionality is the big thing. Another question says, how can we reduce the stress on students now that almost all universities have started transitioning from online to offline mode, or from offline to online mode? Okay, I'll answer for both sides. From online to offline mode, yeah, COVID-19 made online studies more acceptable. I remember before COVID-19, when people say, oh, I'm doing an online program, people think that you're just wasting your time, or, you know, but then just there is both needs to be balanced. And when COVID-19 hit, we realized that we can do a lot virtually. You can get a lot done in your house without having to be physically present somewhere. You can get a lot done from your computer. You know, you just need internet facilities and you'll be good. So, and you know, as I said earlier, it's quite overwhelming. Frankly, it is quite overwhelming when you are online all the time. And that's why when the question came about social virtual world and the physical world, I said it can never replace the physical world. So a blended form usage of it is the best. You know, when there is online learning, there is, you know, offline learning. I remember when at a point I was a special needs teacher, and I was working in a school at that time that harnessed both. So students will come to the classroom, but every student has a computer. You know, as you're coming into the school, your parents are getting you a computer to use. So they come in with their computers every day. There are some lessons they do independently on their computers, and they send it virtually to their teachers. And at the same time, they have classes, you know, of course, they come into class every day. They have lessons physically that the teacher stands in front of them or stands in their midst, and the lesson goes. So there should be a blend to both. It's quite overwhelming when we shift completely to one entirely. It's quite overwhelming. You know, there is still COVID in the world. A lot has changed since COVID. We would deceive ourselves if we say we want to go back to how things were. It's so impossible now. I'm not sure we can ever go back to how things were. We can only improve on where we are today to ensure that we all stay happy and we are living a purposeful, meaningful life, you know, being conscious of stressors and how to manage stresses in life. So students now that are universities that are transitioning should find a balance for themselves. It still boils down to intentionality. Find a balance. Know when to take time off, know when to take a break, know when to use alternatives, you know, and know when to, you know, ask for opportunities to, you know, to do. If you're going to class daily and your teacher wants you to write out an essay of let's assume when I was doing my master's in psychology, I'll be asked to write an essay of 3,000 words, 6,000 words as an assignment. So if you're supposed to write that and submit the written copy, why can't you ask your lecturer to type and send, you know, a soft copy? You know, so you must know how to balance it. And I think schools are allowing, universities are allowing they are allowing, you know, both, you know, to go side by side. So yes, it still boils down to intentionality and being proactive. Know when it becomes overwhelming and when to take a break and when to step back. Thank you. I don't want to take too much time. Thank you. I hope I've answered the questions. I hope I was able to satisfy you with my answers.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you too.
Now we will be having a cultural display. So let's put our hands together and welcome Akshat Kashish and team who are presenting us with an ecstatic dance performance.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Gopal, Madhav, Keshav, Gopi, ये सब मेरे ही नाम। मैं कृष्ण इस धरती में कई वर्ष भर सिर्फ और सिर्फ नृत्य का आनंद लेते हैं। नृत्य ने काफी अवतार ले लिए हैं, सुना है। मैंने सोचा क्यों ना अपने भक्तों के साथ अपनी रासलीला में अंग बन के अपनी माया का प्रदर्शन करूं। क्यों आरंभ किया जाए।
कोई जो मिला तो मुझे ऐसा लगता था जैसे मेरी सारी दुनिया में गीतों की रुत और रंगों की बरखा है, खुशबू की आती है, महकी हुई सी अब सारी फिजाएं है, महकी हुई सी अब सारी हवाएं है, खोई हुई सी अब सारी दिशाएं है, बदली हुई सी अब सारी अदाएं है, जागी उमंगे है, धड़क रहा है दिल, सांसों में तू आए हो, कपनक में है, आंखों में सपने हैं, सपनों में बीते हुए सारे वो लम्हे हैं, जब कोई आया था नजरों में छाया था, दिल में समाया था, कैसे मैं बताऊं तुम्हें कैसा उसे पाया था।
वही है माला वही है मन का मस्त मलंग वो अपने धुन का तन मन तक अंतर जारी है सर्वत के स्वाभिमानी मृत्युंजय है महाविनाशी ओंकार है इसी की वाणी इसी की वाणी इसी की वाणी भांग धतूरा बेल का पत्ता तीनों लोग इसी की सत्ता स्पीकर भी अडिग अमर है महादेव हर हर है चुत्ता वही शून्य है वही इकाई वही शून्य है वही इकाई वही शून्य है वही इकाई जिसके भीतर बसा शिवाय
हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे
That was indeed a feast for the eyes. Thank you, Akshat, Kashish, and Neil for the amazing performance.
With this, we have come end for today's session. We once again thank our speakers, Mr. Divya Ram, Ms. Nish Mari, Mr. Himanshu Pandey, Mr. Himanshu Pandey, and Ms. Tamila Baku, and Mr. Abhijit for joining us today. It would be very delightful if you could join us tomorrow as you all hear as a fellow here. I'm thankful to the registrar for gracing us with his presence, to the SRM management for giving us this opportunity to host this event. We can't be thankful enough for Dr. A. Rathanam, our director, for guiding us throughout, and we really appreciate your audience for being cooperative and patient during the session. Before you go, I'd like to request all the participants to fill the feedback form provided in the chat box. Meanwhile, I'd like to request Director Sir and our eminent guests to turn off their camera for a group photo for this wonderful evening.
Repeat. We would all request our guest speakers, Director Sir and Registrar Sir, to turn on their cameras so that we can take a group photo of this wonderful evening. Thank you, everyone. We would love to see you all tomorrow on the second day of the SRM Global Meet with a diverse set of panelists, including Dr. Jayant Panam, Professor and Dean, Temple University of Pharmacy, Dr. Manikandam Ramakrishnan, Senior Vice President, Granules India Limited, Mr. K.S. Vishwanathan, IAS, Government of India, with Dr. Nikita Hari, Academics Professor of Electronics at the University of Dyson, Captain Aman Johri, CEO, Jadayu Advanced Systems, Mr. Nikhil Chaudhary, nutritionist, and Ms. Charlotte Seth, actress. With this, we would like to conclude today's session. Stay tuned for more information on our Instagram handle SRM2AA. Until next time, this is Chetan.
And this is Azam signing off. Have a good day. Thank you all for joining us today. Also, don't forget to fill out the feedback forms in the chat box.